Today is January 7th, 2024. And I don't know what that means to anybody else. I'm sure it's a bunch of people's birthday around the world. But for me personally, January 7th, 2024 is the 1 year anniversary of the day that I found out about the troubled teen industry and that I am a survivor and that I'm free of the hole buried inside my core that I never understood why my life was never connecting. And sure, there have been more repressed, terrible memories than I can count, but I'll take all of these memories to get the freedom to be able to work in therapy to not I don't care if I get back what I lost. I just want the freedom from the self-hate, the freedom of being deprogrammed of all of the horrible things that I was made to believe about myself for so long. The troubled teen industry is a serious, serious issue. This is something that this should be dealt with not on a state level. This should be dealt on a federal level. If we really want to save our children, watch out for our children, protect our children, stop institutional child abuse, stop the troubled teen industry, close them down, regulate them down. If you regulate them, they will close down or they'll be forced to change their ways and actually treat children in a manner in which they deserve. Just because we can't vote doesn't mean that we're not human. Yes, I know. I'm 53. In my brain, unfortunately, sometimes I'm still 14 years old because that's where I was stunted. It's the second time I was stunted. I was stunted at 4 and stunted at 14. But I get freedom now. So for me, that gives me an obligation. Because my obligation, now that I have the information that I need, is to spread that information as far and as wide as I possibly can. And that's why I'm braving all kinds of fears and just ignoring the fact that I've got the flu. I've got no makeup on. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't care. I just need to get this stuff out of me. Because if there's one person out there who's been to a troubled teen industry program that doesn't know that the troubled teen industry exists, and this helps spark something in them to change their life earlier than my life got changed at 52, then that's a blessing. If this channel reaches one person in the entirety, that's all I'm asking for. I have one story this morning, tonight, whatever you want to call it, it's still to do. This is Fairview Deaconess, so we're going back to Fairview Deaconess, and I'm going to talk about what's called Family Week. This is a 5-day event where parents come to the hospital and with their kids, and so 6 to 8 kids. I don't want to say exactly how many were in this group, and there were 2 parents for everybody except for me. My dad came. Obviously, my stepmother didn't come because they were already separated and going through a divorce, and she was not there, but she did send a letter. My mom couldn't be there because she had responsibilities as a single mother of a 1-year-old, and my grandma couldn't be there either due to work obligations, and I understand. I wouldn't have wanted to come see me in a hospital either. That would be pretty horrifying. So that all got dumped on my dad on top of his divorce and everything. You know, this man's world was crumbling, and he was 37 years old. So Family Week, Wednesday, I believe, was my 15th birthday. That morning, I walked into the group room where we met for these, and I noticed that there were 2 seats empty, which I thought was really odd because the first person that I would see when I walked in that room was my dad, because it's really hard to miss a 6'4" truck driver. But he wasn't there, and I looked around, and the facilitator asked me to sit down, so I sat down and she explained to me that my father wasn't going to be able to make it today and possibly wasn't going to be able to complete family week. I didn't understand this. And this was my birthday. I thought, okay, great. Yeah, happy birthday. And selfishly, because that's not fair. No, I take that selfishly thing back. Anyways, there was, my dad was a really, really, still is, a very friendly, charismatic, funny guy. And he had befriended the other parents, and the parents of one of the other kids looked at me and said, you know, your dad isn't here because he tried to unalive himself last night because of everything you're putting him through. And I said, excuse me? And I looked at the facilitator, and she didn't say anything. And then we just moved on, and I had to sit there in this group with all these other people and their problems while I'm sitting here and think on my birthday, happy birthday, your dad tried to unalive himself last night, so why don't you sit here and enjoy everybody else's story? Okay, great. So that is the end of that memory for me of Family Week. And then things start to get spotty. I don't even remember at this point how I got from Fairview Deaconess in Minneapolis to Alpha House in Ann Arbor. I'm going to have to ask some questions to see if my dad remembers anything about that, or hope something comes back. Maybe if my request for records, you know, are approved, I can, you know, finally find some stuff out. That'd be amazing. So from the age of 15 to 52, I thought my dad tried to unalive himself because of me. There is a lot of bitterness and resentment and pain and sadness and guilt that went along with that feeling. This year, I was brave enough to ask my dad, and he said, what do you mean? Well, where did you get that? I said, well, the facilitator and the couple that was, you know, you were buddy with told me this. And he's like, that's insane. He said, I absolutely did not do that. He said, I had a mental break. I 100% had a complete breakdown. He couldn't get his estranged wife on the phone. And he just needed somebody to talk to, and he was all alone. And then he had a mental break. But I still don't. But this is, for me, so this is an example of the game. And in my last video, I mentioned the game. The game comes originally from the first, I don't know if it was actually the first drug rehab. No, I'm sorry, Alcoholics Anonymous rehab program. Or I know that it was an alcohol rehab program called Synanon, based in Venice Beach, California. That place ended up being a cult, but they invented something called the game. Interestingly enough, the game is also used by Scientology. Also, Scientology used the basis of Synanon to form their drug program, Narconon. I mean, that guy wasn't even original enough to change the name a little bit more. He changed like half the name. But this is an example of the game. Just bit by bit, every way they can, chipping away at destroying your soul. And you're 14, 15, 16 years old. You've known nothing but terror and abuse your whole life. Maybe you had a really bad deck handed to you, and you go to a counselor that you actually trust, which is a really hard thing to do, and then that counselor is in the pocket of this program. This kid's dad's got great insurance. They've got problems. Let's get her on the hook. You know, this is still happening. Okay? Still happening. Please, if you wouldn't mind, check out Unsilenced. I don't remember if it's .com, .org, .net. Please look it up on Google. Check out Unsilenced and what they're doing, and it'll give you a history of the troubled teen industry, which I will also do some presentations in the future. Right now, it appears that my video journaling is my focus right now. But thank you for watching this video. This one might be a little erratic. I'm not doing a lot of eye contact. Apologies for that. This is an uncomfortable subject, and I'm still getting used to doing the videos. One thing I would like to ask everybody who watches the video is if you could just do one nice thing for one person today. And we do that every day. Who knows? Maybe we could change the world. Go out there and have the best Sunday that you can have. And I promise that I'm going to do the same. I hope to see you all again. Bye for now.